Dear Journal, sometimes I get overwhelmed with the amount of unanswered questions that remain in the Legend of Zelda stories. Questions like, what happened to the graveyard boy in Kakariko Village? What are the names of the Beaver Brothers at the Waterfall Rapids? And whose treasure was Link pulling up from the ocean floor? Well, I'm happy to report that over the last few years, I've spent some time with the help of some translator friends looking for answers by translating Japanese Zelda developer interviews. By doing this, I've managed to uncover a whole world of brand new Zelda curiosities, and I'm going to share with you, with the help of my friend Zeltik, my top 10 favorite discoveries. The first few on this list come from one of the best Ocarina of Time developer interviews ever in the 64 Dream issue 31. Number 10, Ceremonies honoring dead animals. During the side quest to gain the big Goron sword in Ocarina of Time, Link obtains the eyeball frog from King Zora, which is then taken to Dr. Lake, who uses it to create a bottle of eye drops. According to the developers, some fans were sad that the frog had to die, but 3D Systems director Yoshiaki Koizumi explains that the frog has probably been used for centuries, so King Zora and Dr. Lake probably didn't feel sorry for it. Going on to say, in each region of Hyrule, a memorial service is held once a year for the animals that have been of service to humans in this way.
Number 9, Princess Ruto's extra pair of eyes. For a long time, many have wondered what these strange shapes are on the sides of Princess Ruto's head. According to Haruhana, the Ocarina of Time character designer, as a child Ruto, those are eyes, meaning she has 4 eyes. I designed the child Ruto with sharks in mind, specifically the hammerhead shark. I thought, what if a shark bit a human child on the head? Later, maybe the eye becomes a hole, maybe it turns into a paw. As the Zoras grow, that area turns inward. While the artwork of Princess Ruto as an adult still has her other set of eyes, when Link meets Princess Ruto again as an adult, those eyes are indeed gone, leaving only empty sockets.
Number 8, the grim fate of the graveyard boy. One big question fans had was in relation to the whereabouts of the 3-year-old boy who played in the graveyard during the day behind Kakariko Village. When Link returned to the graveyard as an adult, the boy was gone, and we finally know where he went, though it isn't pleasant. According again to Koizumi, 5 years later when the boy was 8 years old, he wandered into the Lost Woods in search of his missing father, and unfortunately got lost. He ended up becoming a Skull Kid. Skull Kids, of course, don't talk to adults, so when he encounters adult Link, he might have instinctively attacked and doesn't ask any questions. It's unclear if any of the Skull Kids we encounter when walking through the Lost Woods again as an adult is the Graveyard Boy, but at least we know now what happened to him.
Number 7, the Running Man's Prize. A famous Ocarina of Time myth that has been busted for a while now is whether or not Link could ever beat the Running Man who runs around Hyrule Field. Players used to believe that it could be done, but this myth has since been debunked by many sources. When asked about the Running Man, Kimura explains that it's really the idea of a character that seems like they're beatable but ultimately aren't. As a result, the Running Man became Link's greatest rival in all of Hyrule, other than Ganon, of course. The truth is, even if he won, he wouldn't have anything to give away. So in the end, even if players were able to beat the Running Man, they'd still be leaving empty-handed.
Number 6, Kokiri outside the forest. One strange occurrence in Ocarina of Time is the presence of the Kokiri children alongside the residents of Hyrule during the credits scene. Part of the mythology of Kokiri Forest is that the children there, those born inside the woods, cannot pass the forest's perimeters and into Hyrule itself, as the Great Deku Tree's protection doesn't extend beyond the boundaries of the woods. This led to many wondering how they were able to pass beyond the border and party with the Hyruleans at the ranch at the end of the story. Well, now we have an answer. According to the cutscene director Takumi Kawagoe, The mini Great Deku Tree's power, which protected the forest, has expanded due to the destruction of the evil power that was previously present. Just like the Zora tribe also doesn't always need to be in the water to be safe. So the Deku Tree Sprout, the new seedling that grows after the Deku Tree's death, has a power that extends to beyond the perimeters of the woods, allowing the forest children to travel between worlds. Unfortunately, it's unclear whether the Skull Kids are granted the same permissions.
Number 5. The Beaver Brothers finally have names. The next curiosity comes from the 64 Dream issue 46 during a staff interview with the team behind Majora's Mask, and it's in relation to a long-time mystery concerning the Beaver Brothers. In the game, the Beaver Brothers are only ever referred to as younger brother and older brother. However, Satomi Meikawa, the NPC character developer for the game, explains that the Beaver Brothers have special names. The younger brother is called Shtick, one holding branch, and the older brother is named Twig, swimming beaver. She also had some other tidbits to share about her NPC creation process. We usually have a model when we create our characters. For example, monkeys were based off a cat I had bought. The monkeys' faces look cat-like, right? Next, the giant turtle was modeled after famous Japanese twins Kin and Gin, of which Kin happened to be in the news at the time for passing away. So there you go, Shtick and Twig, the Beaver Brothers. There are plenty of other little developer bits and pieces in this interview, so go and take a read if you're hungry for more.
Number 4. The Old Treasures of Hyrule. Now we jump over to Nintendo Dream issue 83 and what is called the massive Wind Waker interview with the 4 main directors. There are lots of interesting behind the scenes facts in here, but one of the more interesting lore pieces is what Eiji Aonuma says about the presence of Hyrule in the game. As most already know, the kingdom of Hyrule in the Wind Waker lies at the bottom of the ocean after the world was flooded by the goddesses. When asked about this decision to bury Hyrule, Aonuma says, "I wanted to completely smash Hyrule as we know it once and for all, because I thought there's no point in just remaking the same Hyrule from the N64 games again. So I thought, what should we do? Let's sink it." When asked then if the salvaged treasure chests Link finds are old Hyrule's lost treasures, Eiji Aonuma replies, "Yes, that's right." This makes the relationship between the world above and the world below a bit more interesting. Whose treasures has Link been salvaging? Maybe King Zora himself or the Carpenters? Maybe this is Dampé's long-lost treasure.
Number 3. Giant crabs. One hilarious bit of Wind Waker trivia is in relation to the crabs found on beaches. When asked about any cut content from the game, Eiji Aonuma says, "The crabs along the beach, we had wanted to do various things with them, but we were unable to. We thought, what can we do with the crabs? And then development finished." To which Takizawa adds, "One of the programmers said, maybe we can make them 10 times as large for now." To which the interviewer replies, "Maybe Zelda fans from across Japan are going to be trying many things on the crabs now to see what they can do."
Number 2. We finally have the Princess Mononoke connection. For years, many have drawn similarities between Ocarina of Time and Studio Ghibli's 1997 Princess Mononoke film, which both released about a year apart from each other. Both stories are set in a fantasy setting that follow the adventures of a hero wielding a sword and bow and arrow riding an animal. The fantasy element, complete with mythical beings, forest spirits, and the thematic through lines of corruption and purification, have made many wonder if either side drew inspiration from the other. But now, for what might be the first time ever, we hear Miyamoto talking about Princess Mononoke's influence directly in the February edition of a Japanese magazine called Gaimjin. In relation to Princess Mononoke, Miyamoto says, "Both works were roughly in development around the same time, and when I saw the film, I was surprised at the similarities. Scenes of Link firing the bow and arrow while riding Epona, or the giant Goron walking behind the mountain, stirred thoughts like, oh, that's Ashitaka, or that looks like the Nightwalker. I really struggled with the similarities. However, in the end, we decided that building up Hyrule as a country was enough to differentiate it." So in the end, Mononoke's influence on Ocarina of Time seems to be one of subtraction more than addition, and that any similarity was purely coincidental, as Miyamoto made sure that his Zelda game wasn't too similar.
Number 1. Epona was going to be a moose or a unicorn. Following the same vein of Mononoke's subtractive influence, Miyamoto shares a story about Epona. There is a secret story behind the horse. During development, some staff argued about making it a unicorn or a moose, but in the end we ended up going with a horse, and this was influenced by Mr. Miyazaki's Princess Mononoke. We would, of course, later go on to see the Zelda series fully embrace Princess Mononoke's influence in more ways than one. Link can ride all sorts of new creatures, from bears to deers and mythical creatures, and yet he still can't ride a moose.
And there we go, 10 brand new Zelda curiosities. Thanks for watching, and let us know in the comments how many of these you already knew or didn't know. And if you're a Zelda fan, please consider becoming a patron, as this directly funds any new translation work.